Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks Photoville. Big, huge thanks, because for me it's like super important, a part of the exhibition that I'm super happy with. Been sharing that with you, talking about the experience, talking to students or to young people from different communities in New York. No? It's always important and it's always interesting. I'm a Venezuelan documentary photographer, now living in New York. Been living many different places, mostly in Europe, Spain, Italy, France, but also in Venezuela, in Colombia, and working mostly the region, South Latin America, Cuba, Haiti, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, but also Turkey, Syria, Ukraine, France, blah, 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 blah. But this is local. Became local. For more than a decade, I have been following, accompanying, trying to understand the very complex, recent Venezuelan political, socio-political disaster. Has been a disaster, no? And in recent times, a huge wave of migration for some time has been coming to the States. The last couple of years has been like a big wave from many different countries, but like a huge part of it has been Venezuelans. So for me it was important to understand not only the journey, meaning the geographical journey, no? That I've been working on that. Venezuelans migrating to Colombia, to Ecuador, to Chile, to other countries in Latin America, and also on the way up. They have to cross Colombia, the Darien Gap, that is a huge jungle that separates is a word, Venezuela and Panama, and then Central America through Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, then Mexico. We are talking about thousands of miles, kilometers, meters, centimeters, whatever you want to call it, but like huge distances physically, but also like big risks. We're talking about like risks from nature in the jungle, but also criminal groups, drug cartels, human smugglers, corrupted police forces. But beyond that is important and complex and really need our understanding, our hard work to go as deep, as close, respectful, and with the needed time to understand these different factors. No, I wanted to understand, or would try to contribute to understanding of what is happening in New York now, as a representation of a process that is happening at different sizes and scales in many places of the world. We have 100 million displaced people at the moment. 100 million. It's like if a third of the country should have to go somewhere else at once. War, climate change, famine, drugs, violence, political unrest, all the crazy factors, and some that are not that extreme, but that are pushing people to leave their places, to look for better options, to try to build a better life. And for me, understanding that here in New York, I recently moved here, have been coming for years, but recently moved here and was like, wow, the intersection of something that I've been in some ways at the roots of it. I have families, relatives that walk the border from Venezuela to Colombia and continues to Peru at some point when they were earning $5 per month, with no food in the shelves, with no food in the fridge, with no. So understanding the consequences of that arriving here was like in some way an important task for me, an important challenge, a responsibility, no? Of like having this work to to understand what has been the impact of that crisis in Venezuela, and now how that process is taking place here. No? I can talk about numbers, hundreds of thousands of people arriving in different countries, migrating to the States, but beyond those numbers and behind those numbers, there's lives, there's dreams, all kind of crazy and beautiful and important experiences to share of people like Jenis. Jenis Andrade is a Venezuelan woman of indigenous origins in the border between Venezuela and Colombia. She's married but, with Alexis here, Alexis Matos. They crossed the jungle when Jenis was 5 months pregnant and with a kid that was not yet 2 years old, so a baby basically. Many relatives of Alexis' family came together, all kind of difficulties, not only economically, but like to make the physical journey. We're talking about a 6 days trek, rivers, storms, the menace of being kidnapped, the menace of raping, forced disappearance, and all kind of in the jungle. Then some parts are a little bit easier, and the Mexico area is very complicated for different reasons that maybe you know about it, but like, and also the risk of being sent back to the southern border of Mexico and Guatemala, and having to face those risks again. I was volunteering at some point with groups to bring aid to shelters or to receive migrants when I met Jenny and her big belly at that time. And I was like, oh, talking with her, trying to know about her. I think something like really important when we try to do this work is the empathy and like try to understand, talk, communicate with people. As James said, like people want to communicate their history. People want to be better understood. Being right or wrong or like that, we will decide after knowing more about everybody's background, no, or anybody's background. But like, it's important to not be judgmental. Is that the word? It's important to be open, to be like, and then when you decide about working on somebody's life, you know, like the most important thing you have, your life, your history, your background, your experiences. When somebody decides to share that with you, you have to be like really honest, respectful, careful. You will find the ones that pursue work on photography, on journalism, documentary work, on something related to our life, to our communities, and to the life of other people. You will find all kind of situations. And all should be faced with the utmost respect and care, you know, because most of the time we just know the tip of the point of the iceberg about what somebody else will be experiencing. No? So for me, it was important to understand what they were experiencing as a family. No? What are the challenges legally, culturally, but also like the many opportunities, the many possibilities. Maybe for some of you or for many of you, at some point your families were facing similar processes. Not the same, because for everyone is different depending on your background, the tools you come with, the resources. But for every family, for every person, that process is a big climbing, no? Accompanying them and understanding that background and the local interactions, the opportunities, how happy they were to be able to bring a baby here for who they have risked so much, no? And having like that big opportunity of a hospital, some good health care, and also like a baby that is born here, that now is a new generation of American citizens. No? Understanding that, how we build community, how like groups get together, how local people open their arms, support, or the contrary, because it exists, no? Like how people reject, how people like feel that every different person could be a menace, while we learn that every different person could be a contribution, different knowledge, different skills, different. And I'm not naive about it. Of course, we have all kind of people when migration comes. Like we have all kind of people locally. With some we will get along better, with some. But what we can never be close to is to work on inclusion, to work on building something together, no? Because if not, will be confrontation constantly and just escalation and division, and a part of not being viable and sustainable as way of life is something that could end in very, very complicated things that we have seen maybe around here, around the world, and are at the base, at the roots of many of the heavy problems we're seeing now. No? So Janice was here on Saturday, something that is amazing. Like she was like celebrating and screaming from a half block away when she could see that the exhibition was here. You know, and that is important, that the people feel respected, that they feel honored in some way, for as little as the experience could be, or as big the person, the name, the impact of their history, or micro histories, your neighborhood, your family, your own experience. Some are sensitive, difficult to talk about, some can be pretty ugly, but we need to work on that, not on making up things, not on putting like, but on looking at the many faces histories have, no? On looking that for every complication, every pain, every stain of blood, and there's also people resisting, people working on improving, people like trying to rebuild, help life to emerge again. In the worst, if you turn, after I finish, but if you turn to the other side, you will see like the complications and the difficulties of Ukraine. I've been working there, and there also you can find joy, you can find love, solidarity, support. And it's not to ignore the ugly sides, but it's not to put that in front and forget to help promote and discuss the good sides of things. No? So with that in mind, I've been working, please let me know how we're going on time. 5 minutes, okay. Common people trying just to improve their situations. No? That when we see this, who could not want for her brothers or sisters or sons or relatives to improve their life, to be born in better conditions, to access to better education. No? It's not easy. Of course, it's not easy. Like sometimes the process of integration needs time to fit together. No? But if the pieces that are participating open a little bit, like that integration could go like in a softer way. Janice has been like a part of the rest of the family, no? But working with her, she has been like super open, super really kind and communicative, and opening like the way for the family to share their experience. No, that is different for everyone. Like the baby is born here, American citizen. The parents are adults. They took the decision. They are having that process. Little Diana, that is like the most beautiful little thing that was like hugging herself when she saw the pictures and kissing the mom in the pictures. Little Diana is like, for me, like a representation of these people, like these dreamers that came so young without knowing what about their destiny. You know, I'm interested in all that. What will be that Diana's process? No, what will be Jenny? Like she's studying. She wants like to take the time that she's caring for the kids, like to study, to learn English, to try to validate her diploma, to continue studying here and being like. Some parts of the family wanted to move to somewhere calmer. She's like, I love New York. Like this is my place now. Or Miss Karina, that is the mother, Alexis' mother. They got separated at some point by migration. She got returned by herself to Mexico and had to cross the Rio Bravo, Rio Grande, called in the side of Texas. So different layers of experiences, no, that by extension represent the many life arriving to New York now and to the States. No? So I think like this work aimed to contribute a little bit to better understanding for people, for readers, for local communities, and also for migrants. I mean, for people that could feel reflected in Jenny's experience. They have approached this struggle, because it's a struggle, but also an opportunity. They have approached it with open arms and trying to do and to give their best. So I hope like for other people to try that. I'm trying my best in documenting and sharing and accompanying. I hope for all the elements that are playing in this, because it's huge and it's here to stay and will be happening all over. Sadly, the US has been living like a very confrontational period as well. Nobody's safe from that if we don't do the work of trying to make things work together. No place is safe. I lived the Venezuela of the golden years, and I've lived the Venezuela where people was literally crossing the country with no food, with no shoes, with no money, to try to find food on the other side of the border. One of the richest countries in the world, with the biggest oil reserve, gold, whatever you want in natural resources, amazing people, but this confrontation could dig deep inside and then put that together again is very, very difficult. So that work of prevention, that work of inclusion is all that my words and my images aim to communicate. So, thank you so much. All the questions, all the comments, I'm selling ice creams as well. No.
Maybe time for like one question?
Or two.
Quick one.
Was that staged or was it by accident,
This
this one right here?
one?
Yeah.
No, like, not by accident, like, it's not a stage. They are playing. I'm there. I love to share time with people, talk with people, share experiences. And when I'm working, I'm like the one that I need to swim and cross the river. Okay, let me get the camera and try to swim together with you. Being for good and bad, in the risky or in the, you can take a look at my work. This is part of the softer and tender part of it. Some other are, but always like, so you are there. You are there waiting for life to appear in front of you. Or for example, like talking about, most of my work is like spontaneous, but there's also some collaborative part of it, different approaches that you can see when you, and that could take longer to explain, but like, here is Jenny telling me like, oh, look, I have these coins, and me like, oh, put it there. You know, it's more like a portrait of something she wanted to show, her collection of different coins of the country she crossed. Here is like them playing in the deli, having their mom and kid time. And here is, oh, thank you. Here, there is Jenny's filling the papers to be, I don't know if released is the word, but like from the hospital for the first time, like, and Alexis like, oh, this little thing, how I carry it. So, thank you so much. Okay.